G plus X sub n. Of course, we did it this way.
Yes, C plus I.
C plus I plus X plus G. We did it that way, and that's typically how we did it. And that component of aggregate demand is really important, right? Because we say that aggregate demand sometimes is going to cause problems, and then sometimes is considered to be the solution. Now, we actually, when we got to this point, we painted, kind of three scenarios, right? Three scenarios. One scenario was this. We said, okay, if we start out at long-run equilibrium, and what's long-run equilibrium again? Long-run equilibrium is when short-run aggregate supply equals aggregate demand at a level of output that is equal to full employment. Any level of price. At any level of price. However, in the short run, it's possible that for whatever reason, aggregate demand could go up. If aggregate demand goes up like that, the effect of that would be to increase the price level. Right? Now, if the price level goes up and nominal wages remain fixed, right? If the price level goes up and nominal wages remain fixed in the short run, the effect of that would be increased profitability for firms, correct? Let me slow down with this. Because this is when we kind of got advanced into it, right? We got advanced and said, all right, what happens here? Aggregate demand goes up. Why does aggregate demand go up? It could be because of any alteration in any of these factors. Dollar weakens, right? Real interest rates go down. Government decides they want to spend more. We have a war. Okay, there's a war, right? Look, the 9/11 attacks were a good example of kind of an unintended circumstance that resulted in increased expenditures by government. Okay, we have to become safe, so we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to tighten airport security, and we're going to attack Afghanistan, and then eventually we're going to attack Iraq, and we're going to do these things. All this stuff costs money, right? All this results in additional spending. All that additional spending increases demand. Increases demand, increases price. When price goes up, firms now, nominal wages are fixed. What happens is firms' profitabilities expand. That's something I don't know if we ever even really understood when we did it. We said, what's now going to expand output in the short run is when prices go up in the short run and wages remain constant, then firms make more money because they get a higher price for their product and the cost of their production remains about the same because wages didn't change. And because they make more profits, now they have an incentive to expand their output. When they expand their output, what we have is an output level now beyond full employment. Right? Now, if this were the case, we would say the problem in this economy is inflation. Demand is driving prices up. Output is expanding beyond the natural rate. This is possible. But in the long run, what's going to change? In the long run, Cameron, nominal wages are going to increase, right? Because in the short run, they're fixed. That's why the output expands, right? But in the long run, they're going to increase. Now, when nominal wages increase, the effect of the increase in nominal wages will be to reduce the short-run aggregate supply curve. Now let's stop here and say this. Okay, right? This is easy enough. Changes in aggregate demand are easy enough, right? We went over and over and over. Okay, here's the aggregate demand curve. Here are the factors that could shift it up or down. Those are something you really, really should know. Because that's the thing that results in different economic phenomena. How about the short-run aggregate supply, however? What determines that, right? What could make that change? Well, what makes that change, and I don't know if you remember this, what makes that change is changes in the per unit cost of production. So, okay, This short-run aggregate supply curve can be here, 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 can be here. What makes it move? What makes it move? Well, changes in the per unit cost of production. Now, when we say changes in the per unit cost of production, that may come into better focus when we talked about microeconomics. When we talked about microeconomics, we said, okay, what's the per unit cost of production? The average total cost. Right? That's the per unit cost of production. I'm out of the camera view. That's the average total cost, right? So now, for something to affect the short-run aggregate supply curve, it's got to be something that's pervasive enough to change the average total cost structure for like all the firms in the economy, right? So, okay, we say, okay, what's going to change the average total cost for almost all the firms in the economy? It's going to make either all the firms in the economy's average total costs go up or down, right? And if all the firms' average total costs in the economy go down, then all the firms in the economy will want to produce more. If all the firms' average total cost goes up, then all the firms will want to produce less, right? So there's the things that change the per unit cost of production is something that is pervasive enough to affect almost all the firms in the economy. If it's that pervasive, it can have an effect on the supply curve. Well, what are the possibilities? Right? What are the possibilities of things that can affect the short-run aggregate supply curve? Well, we listed kind of three big things. And other things can come into play, and they may ask you about other things, but it seems to me that these are the three big ones. So we say, okay, what are the shifters? Right, of short-run aggregate supply. One would be nominal wages. Right, nominal wages. So wages are one of the biggest components of your total cost, right? So if nominal wages go up, then all the firms, all the total, the average total cost for all the firms may potentially change. So if nominal wages are a big shifter, right, then okay, what happened here? Nominal wages went up, right? Nominal wages go up. When nominal wages go up, short-run aggregate supply goes down, right? If nominal wages go down, the opposite is true, right? Besides nominal wages, another thing that can affect it is productivity. And productivity is the amount of output you get per input. So, if your factors of production become more productive, then with the same input, you get more output, right? If that's true, then your costs go down, right? If you get less output for the same input, then your costs go up. And then the other thing that we said typically is a shifter is energy. Energy costs, right? Oil prices. So what happened here? What happened here is we moved from here to here, right? We did that in the short run. Why? Because nominal wages were fixed. But in the long run, what happens to nominal wages? Because there are higher prices, workers say we need raises. Workers say we need raises, then the result is that nominal wages go up. When nominal wages go up, the average, or the short-run aggregate supply curve shifts back, and in the long run, in the short run we go 1 to 2, in the long run we move back to 3. Correct? Does anybody remember this? Right? Does anybody remember this? Now, the other scenario that we said is, well, what about if this happens? What about if aggregate demand goes down? That's what currently occurred. Aggregate demand went down, right? Aggregate demand went down as a result of the bank meltdown. People, lost confidence in, businesses, couldn't get money, and all kinds of bad things happened, with banking and the real estate market, and as a result of that, right, what happens? Well, now we would say that ordinarily we would go from 1 to 2, a lower price. But what we usually say is in the short run, we go from 1 to 1A here. Because in the short run, oh yeah, well, that's actually right here. In the short run, we say that